Welcome, everybody. Our small group here today. This is we think, going to be kind of a fun little conversation, and I think we should look at it that way, as just kind of more of a conversation, just sharing ideas and questions and answers. Uh, and we're looking forward to it. Anyway, I am Scott Whitty. I'm the president of IVRPA, International VR Professionals Association, the only international association dedicated to VR XR creatives in this field. And we hold monthly webinars. This one is a little bit different, but educational webinars. And all of them are recorded. This one will be as well, and are available on our website and our webinar archive, which is open to all paid members. These webinars are all for free, and member or not, but I encourage you to consider joining. For the cheap amount of $50. You get access to everything, which is well worth it. If you want to put messages into chat, be sure that you signify that it should go to everybody, unless you do want it to go only to panelists. Otherwise, other people will not see it. That you do that by changing the blue drop down that's right above where you type in. Okay, I think we are ready to go. First thing I'll do is say that we had a couple pre-questions asked, so we'll dive into those first. And the first one is from Stephen Dyer, who says, I'm working on stereoscopic 360 images and need to switch to left eye, right eye image sets into a proper 3D 360 output. Could anyone recommend the best software tools for stitching stereoscopic 360 images? Any other tools that offer good control over alignment, parallax correction, streaming, blending? I would say when it comes to stereoscopic 360s, why is his name off?
Mystica?
No, Thomas Sharp is the person that always comes to my mind, because he's been doing that forever. He uses PT GUI, and I know a number of other people use PT GUI to create the stereoscopic images. Thomas and a number of others have YouTube videos that explain exactly how they do it. One of them from Thomas, I just noticed, says how to do it in 20 minutes or under. And that's a great way to do it, I think. I'll be curious to hear from other panelists, but I'm going to get an aside here. We're looking at our audience not just as an audience, but as participants, not just to ask questions, but to chime in with knowledge that you have. So please add to the discussion when you say, oh, I have a great answer for this. Okay, now, beyond the software, I'm going to do a recommendation to you guys, which is the Kucam Ultra, Kucam 3 Ultra Pro. Yeah, anyway. The VR 180 modification for, what is it, $700, $800 total with the modification. You have a 14K still image that you can produce from that. That's way cheaper than having two cameras and two fisheye lenses or whatever. And it's in an all compact design that gives you bracketing and all the other controls you would want, 10-bit color, so it gives you a lot of control and can be put onto any 360 mount and easily create your source images for stereoscopic 360. And if you really want to do that, cheapest way into it, gives you great results from what I've been able to see. Then Jordy Fraxinet, I'm sorry. In the past, Photoshop 3D mode for 360 images has disappeared now. in recent versions, which are the alternative softwares or plugins to edit in 3D mode, and which are the more simple? Are there any free ones? I'm just going to say, and again, I hope other people will step in, and I didn't give you any chance on the last one, sorry. Uh, Adobe is moving 3D into their Substance app, which you can get a free trial. It's a paid application. You can get a free trial, but it's going to be another paid application. Um, Beyond that, what do you guys
So Creative
recommend?
Cloud, if you have your Creative Cloud, the Photoshop 25, version 25, which is an older version, is still available in Creative Cloud. That does have the 3D still available in it. So
Ah,
if
yes.
you're an active Creative Cloud member, it's still there.
Well, and I would chime in by saying that Panorama VR is probably, I mean, that's my go-to software for creating all things 360 and what allows me to get paid and pay my mortgage. So I really like Panorama VR. But anyways, Panorama VR is a simple program. Once you create your image and stitch it in PT GUI, you know, import it into Panorama VR, scroll down, you know, you see your big, you know, patch or what you need to patch. And then yeah, and you basically just do a screen grab of it, you know, create the patch, bring it into Photoshop, use the AI tools now, you know, draw a little line around it, hit AI, and then you know, and then basically it'll create and patch that for you. It's the easiest thing. I mean, I wish I'd known this 25 years ago, but then again, AI wasn't around 25 years ago. So, but that's what I think is the best. Panelists, do you guys use any software that does the same thing?
I'll chime in now. On the first one, a stereoscopic one, if you want the painful method, depending if you want a really complex, is for a command line, color grading, processing of video, image projection changes, right? If you're moving from cubic to equirectangular, everything that you'll use typically is based upon an organization called FFmpeg. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. And what you'll see is there's another one that I can't get off the top of my head, but I think it's called Pano Tools, and again, it's the core algorithms that are used in all of the software to change from an equirectangular to a cubic projection or to stitch things together. And so if you're doing stereoscopic images, you're probably doing it in volume. You might want to look at a command line solution where you're not in an interface, so you're not trying to open an image. That kind of, I think that was kind of what you were indicating, is that you're dealing with a lot of image sets. And so that would be painful to use in the software. You got to pull it up. So you might want to look at a command line where you're batch processing them all to move them between projections. For editing of images, I think we all agree that you can't, like if I'm looking at Jeff's image, Jeff's background, he's got some nice straight lines in it and stuff. I can't edit that if I'm in equirectangular because everything's curved. And so you just naturally can't paint along a curve. And so you're wanting to be in the 3D mode to paint because you want the image to be straight because that's natural to paint in. You can't paint the floor out when it's that stretched out thing. I found that I simplified it down to where I like KR Pano Tools comes with the cubic to sphere. It's called a droplet. So you just set it off to the side, you take your images and whatever form it's in, it converts it to the other. And so I find that I need the image in two different formats to edit. If I'm photoshopping out a stitch error or need to remove something or something's wrong in it, I need to have it in cubic format. So I just drop whatever it is onto the thing, take the 6 cubic images, and then process it. And if it's across the seam, then I shift using the filter shift in Photoshop to shift it until I get it right. And you'll get to understand that the center of the image is the front, you know, the back seam, stuff like that. But if I need to adjust the color or sharpness of it, then I have to have the whole image and I want an equirectangular. And then the caution there is to make sure that you're in a software that understands that it's an image that wraps around. Otherwise, you get horrible seams if you try to process it. And that's like Camera Raw filter doesn't do that. So if you're taking an image and you need to do it in Camera Raw filter. But anyway,
Uh,
that's
Now Jordy is here. Jordy, I've turned on your microphone if you want to expand on what your question was, and did we give you an answer?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Thank you. I will look for the software you have explained. I have Photoshop with the license, and I have used the 2021 version of Photoshop, but the speed of the program is very low. So the program is difficult to run the Photoshop with 3D mode in my my laptop. Well, thank you very much. I will think about what you have told. I expect to find a useful software for me. My specialty is astrophotography, 3D images, and it's very difficult to process this kind of images, and that's the reason, because I am looking for an easier mode to edit my photographs.
Okay, great.
what
Cool.
one old solution for you if you haven't tried it is Affinity did have, or I'm not sure if they still have it, but Affinity is a very similar to Photoshop. It's like a $50 program, and it had a very nice 3D editing mode in it that didn't. It was much faster to how it shifted back and forth. I know what you're talking about. It that in Photoshop, when you hop to 3D mode, there's a super delay. Affinity
Yeah.
did a very nice job with that. So try Affinity. That might it's a little bit outdated, but it might it might work for you.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll try. Thanks.
Okay. By the way, if someone wants to ask a question, you can do it in the chat. You can also click the raise hand symbol, which we'll see, and then go ahead and just ask. So if you've come here with a question, burning question, please do one of those.
And thank you, Stephanie, for resetting that. Scott mentioned that. I guess I'll say that you do have to reset it so it says to everyone or who you want to send it to.
Okay. So did we have any questions sitting there?
Ross raised his hand.
Oh, there we go, Ross. Okay, Ross.
Hello. Hi. I'm curious about Gaussian splats. Specifically, the Varho has a new tool out for called Teleport, which I've used the last week, and it's done okay. But my specific question is, do y'all know any Gaussian splat processes or tools or apps that allow you to do something like prioritize a plaque in a museum so that you're stitching the whole museum, but when you get near that plaque in view, you have a crisp, nice plaque. It works pretty well, you know, and if I practiced a lot more, I'd probably get better at it. But right now, I'm not finding any way. I am unaware of how you would do such a specific thing. Thank you.
Oh, definitely that's
Lauren
Lauren.
probably needs to jump in on that one. But I would say, in my experience, it's in the capture more than it is in the processing. And that's really, we've been kind of discussing these Gaussian splats over the last webinar. We're having another one coming up, right? But it's going to be the capture needs to be extremely detailed of your plaque. Angles are extremely important. But Lauren, I mean,
Yeah, I actually ironically I'm working on a splat, and I have something I'll show today. And I was interested in that very same thing because I do a lot of museum work. And I think it's kind of common to a room or a space you're going to do. The Gaussian splats look very nice if you're in the center of the room and you're away from everything and you're not moving just like we do. But as soon as you get close to things, it starts to come apart. So I'm actually going to share the screen and I'll show you a example. And it also reinforces what Stephanie just said, that it's about the capture process. I've been doing this for a while, not full time, and I'm going to get more and more into it. And you can see my screen, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one here, let me just show you. This is a low res Xbox. I haven't, you got to do this on Windows, and this is going to be post shot. I'm trying, you asked about the workflows. The one I like post shot right now for just dumping things in and having it just produce something. And what I'm showing you here is it's the train station. It's a room at Harper's Ferry. It's a park service. It's just open to the public. I'm not working for them on anything. It's just a place that not a lot of people go. The nice thing I liked about it is now it had lights all the way, windows all the way around. It was the lighting was pretty even. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrub through this and point to a couple of the things. Now, the cool part about this is a completely untouched model. This is taking the images, I think it's around 150, and it's not enough, and I'll point to where it wasn't enough, and then dumping them into post shot, and then just this is what come out. And you'll see some floaters as I scrub through. But this is the first time that it felt like I could actually clean this up and it's going to look nice. Most of the I've done to now is just, blah, and like, oh, where is it? You know, is there something there? So let me scrub through real quick and you'll see it. Again, an untouched model, and that picture on the over the fireplace, we're going to get to close and you're going to see, and it's going to reinforce what Stephanie said about the process. So you'll see that I'm moving across the room. I didn't move into this other area, so you're seeing through the windows, you can see how it captures things. Now I focused on the fireplace. I did not, the room is about 16 feet tall. I did not have the equipment to put my camera up high, so I put it, as high as I could on my tripod, which is maybe 6, 7 feet. I was able to get down against the floor. Photogrammetry, if you're interested in the capture technique, same technique from photogrammetry. And I'm picking up again the subject. There's nothing highly reflective in this room. There's no glass or mirrors because that just throws things all over the room for you and makes it extremely difficult to understand the process. And I'm looking upwards and you can see that I'm getting a pretty good image, but here I'll pop up high into the model. I went through the wall there. Okay, I'm gonna go back up. Now you'll see I'll go up towards the ceiling and you'll see where it breaks down right there, right? So I'm not high enough up. It can't extrapolate out of you have to give it enough imagery. And then, so let me just zoom forward to get right into your question here. So here we are. I want to get a nice picture, and I've up to now, like getting the text is important, right? And that's the challenge because a person's face can be smeared with the splats and the nature of the Gaussian, but that's very difficult to get anti-aliasing and nice crisp text. And so I think you'll see here, and I'll point out some nice things. It's picking up the reflection off of the things, right? That's highlighting the beauty of this technology, that photogrammetry, it would be a baked in, flat, ugly video game looking thing. And I'm not rendering this out at a high resolution, but the details there. But you'll see when I get in. Oh, did I get? Let me get back to it. You see how it breaks down right there, right? I didn't take a picture from there. I came up straight on it. So as I just kind of scrub back and forth, the mistake I made on this, and I got to go back and do it, in order to get this picture correct, I'd have to take the pictures I can't have it interpolate or correct that what they call the novel view. I've got to get up on a picture and take it straight down and be at the distance that a person naturally walks up to it, right? And looks at the picture, which is pretty, you can figure that out. So get that geometry down. And anyway, it's spend too much time. I'll quit this and I'll show you a statue one. If you're getting into this Gaussian, don't start with a room, or else you're going to end up with looks like a snowball of stuff in your.
Well, I used teleport and I captured one of the Asian exhibits in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it came out okay. It's still the glass is murdered in a few places, reflections.
Yeah.
But I got really good photos of the plaques. I'm just trying to stop that novel view. I'm wanting to essentially prioritize some photos when creating novel views to say, oh, from this angle to that angle, still use that center crisp text. Are we just not there yet?
I think I think you were kind of hinting to what's going to happen is that this technology will limit it in that it can't do crisp text. It'll be too much, too many splats to create the text. And so you'll mix or blend. One of our board members who's not on, he's been playing around with, can you blend these two together? And I'm thinking that I wanted to play with, find a place that you've done with straight VR photography, and see if you can blend the two. And the fact that like KR Pano and 3D Vista are going to come out with the ability, I haven't explored it enough, but if you can do splats in KR Pano and the other one, can you integrate the two then in between those programs? Is that going to provide the ability? Here's a statue which first one that I made that it actually came out, and I'll quickly point to some of the issues with you. Maybe you can help avoid it as well. Again, I'm not taking enough photos of the ground and stuff, and I focused on the front arms. I didn't take enough photos under the belly, and it was dark. I probably needed to bring lighting extra and shift out of the mindset that I'm trying to take a photograph and lit up the belly so I get that geometry and rebuild the object back in and stuff. And so I that's a mistake. On the back, you'll also see I made a mistake. But I'm very impressed with, um, and I cleaned this up manual. I didn't bring it into cloud compare, reality, scan. There's other tools. Post Shot's very weak in its ability to clean the models up. And you'll see when I get to the back is reflective, and so I start to have problems where it breaks down. And like you said, the mirrors, I'll stop there, but like you said, the glass, just like a Matterport camera, you can't use a Matterport and get good model unless you're going in and marking in the process all of the reflective mirrors, glasses, or otherwise the algorithms. And so I guess we're just not there yet, probably the answer.
Well, and I think too, just again, like a little bit, it's more on the capture end of things. And I think like Lauren, you said as well, like you went through and you're able to process them all and you realize I didn't have enough of this. I think that's pretty much our problem around. So I don't know how, I've really been struggling like Gaussian splatting for my business. How do you go to a place, go capture, and then maybe you didn't have enough? So just always assume that you don't have enough, I guess is the thing to do there. But specifically for those signs, and again, I can't speak to having ever gotten text that reads clearly in a Gaussian splat. I don't think I mean, we have great detail, but yeah, it's an odd thing to kind of come up and then turn angles and not have things be shifting on you. But I would treat like even that photo as a separate model object and capture all the angles that you can of that. It doesn't shift on you, but yeah.
I think right now quality doesn't, DSLR, I'm getting the best quality, and the important thing is the lighting, right? No lens flare. A lens flare just blows that image out. That's just ruins it. And the image has to be, everything has to be in focus. If you feed it images where like you're doing a statue and you've got it nice, but then you take another one where the back edge of it is blurry, it seems to wreck it. And so really it's a much tighter process. It's a lot more I don't see this Gaussian splats. I don't see being a competitor commercially to our work, our traditional stuff for a while. I see it being used. I'm going to try to use it to pop up objects and statues, things that, the person can, I'm envisioning that within KR Pano or 3D Vista, that I'm going to be able to have a traditional virtual tour, an object that I can touch the object and have it pop up and the person can move it around. And that's going to be, that's going to be impressive. Trying to
It's
do a
really
room. Yeah,
It's
I
really
have to,
cool and it's superior to photogrammetry. Like the processing of a splat takes some time, but it's infinitely easier than photogrammetry. It was. And so the processing of that and just making sure that your cloud points were connected properly. And so that's been wonderful. I do see like Russ, it'd be really cool to have our 3D environments that we just move through and you approach an object and it's sharp as anything and you get to read the text off of it. That's amazing and hope that happens, but it's not happening yet.
no, I don't think it'll be practical to do a space. It's practical to do a statue. I can move around a statue and with a 20 millimeter lens, I can grab it in, 100 pictures and they're bracketed and that's fine. A room, I'm like 400 bracketed shots and I've got to remember exactly where I'm at. it's not practical, but will be when you can just grab a 360 rig and run it around the room like on a wand and just like sticking it around the corners. And you gotta, more importantly, you got an algorithm that's showing you like a Matterport does what you've collected. I've got a pretty good memory, and I'll get into a space in a room and I'm taking a really careful, but I really think that I think you got to have that algorithm that's showing you the mesh, right? That's showing you it's building the room and showing you, oh no, I need more shots over here. And the phone apps do that. So you might want to play around with the phone apps as well, just so you get a pro. Otherwise, it gets the splats are frustrating to start off with because um, they don't work right off the bat. Like it's kind of like, the video game. Hey, this isn't the right. What was that? But
Raj, you want to
Have-
show us? You want to show us what you have?
yeah, cool. Show and tell.
Yeah, have y'all tried teleport? Varho's new. Yeah, if you'll share the screen, I'll show you
Go ahead.
what I was able to
You
do.
got it.
Oh,
You should have it.
okay. Show, raise hand, Q&A. Do you see my screen? I do not see the option. Maybe I have to refresh. See chat, raise hand, Q&A, show.
Down there, it's
captions.
share.
I don't have the share button.
You see share button down at the bottom?
I don't, and I'm familiar with zooming up. Maybe I have to log out and log back in.
Hmm.
The button's not there.
I don't know.
Panelists can make it one panelist can share at a time. Who can share? Hosts and panelists. Oh, we only have hosts and panelists can share.
Oh,
Shoot.
Is it on the web anywhere? A
Yeah,
link?
this might work for you. I think I have it public, but give it a shot. See what happens.
Okay, in chat? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
well, we can promote them to panelist.
Oh, well, if you followed the link, you can see what he's got there. This is nice.
Yeah, and then here's another one from a photogrammetry shot from 2021. I was kind of blown away. Okay, the thing I just want to express is I've done no cleanup whatsoever. This is just what Teleport is creating from a video I made with an iPhone or 1,200 photos just walking around the room. I mean, I'm very photogrammetric, experienced. So I would take a step to the left, take a photo, take a step to the left, take a photo, ton of photos. I removed some pictures from the set that had really bad glare from the lights above in the roof, but the roof came out pretty well. But again, sometimes when you stand right in front of a caption, it shows it really well, and others don't. Would a host show what they're viewing since you can screen share? I just sent another one from another time.
Sure, I can share that.
That's cool work. I wasn't familiar. That's the neat thing about this is it's moving so fast that sometimes people are, hey, if you're using such and such, and I've never heard of it.
So I don't in any way receive compensation from this company, but they have a week free trial with 5 models, and they only have one plan right now, which is 15 models a month for 29 pounds or euros, 29 euros. So about 35-ish American right now. And these were just ones I created with from old data sets in this last week. I found it and just got turned on real quick.
I'm curious since Lauren, you had mentioned about glare.
Yeah, click and drag too.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's whatever. I mean, they've obviously doing this cool thing is just moving so fast, and there's a lot of. I mean, the paper that started the Gaussian splats was it a year, 2 years ago, but they were focused on just the splats. They weren't focused on a lot of this other stuff, like cleaning the model up, for example. So you have these companies that are now popping up that are taking other algorithms, and yeah, this is an untouched model. Yeah, obviously you got floaters in there. That's really nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I need to take a DSLR with a filter,
What did you shoot this with? I'm sorry, I missed that.
A modern iPhone, just a regular iPhone. I think I was in 1x. I don't think I was in 0.5x. So if the bottom right, you'll see that first kind of picture. It'll do Quest Link or it will do the Varho, obviously, because it's their company. Um, I haven't Quest linked yet. I was on vacation down the shore this last week. I just got home and I'm going to plug it in to my VR machine and see if that in the bottom right hand corner, you can also when you pay for it, which I haven't done yet, I want to see how the 360s look in the VR headset link down there at the bottom right.
Mhm.
But you can download PLYs and do a little bit. You can create, I don't know what they call it, portal maybe, where you would string rooms together by creating planes that when you cross them, I'm assuming. So I'm going to go capture the couple of rooms beside this room and try to create those portals between doors. But this, you add a DSLR to this. You add, a little bit more methodic, careful photography, and then you clean up those the ability to really prioritize some of the signs you can read and some of them you just can't. Then I think we're really close.
Yeah, I think
But those editing tools were just required.
how are you? I'm having trouble with the exhibit cases that are glass, like you got there in the center of the room. How are you finding that works for you?
Oh, it's awful. That would be after cleaning up text, would be some way to tell the application this is glass, and then filter out some of the ghost floating in the room, or clearly just glare off the glass. They're
Yeah.
interpreted as being this little ghost floating in the room. If you were able, I mean, with photogrammetry, I was able to go in and define reconstruction areas and filter stuff out by distance. Um, but it seems like this is so close, it needs that kind of insert yourself into the photogrammetry portion of the workflow,
Yeah.
clean it up a little bit, and then when displaying the photograph novel images, have just a little bit of algorithm to be able to focus on a center crisp text version. If you step too far off angle, that makes sense that you wouldn't read it. But you get up close to a couple of those bureaus texts and you can almost read them.
Yeah, you can't escape, from what I can tell, the getting yourself into that photogrammetry pipeline where you've got a cloud. So you have to hop. So you feed all the images in, you get your PLY file, but you got to pull it out. And I've been playing with Cloud
Oh,
Compare, there's some other ones.
right now
Um,
you're in standard definition. There's actually a high definition version. It looks like
oh,
you're
look
in
at that.
SD at the bottom right. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more crisp than you're sitting. No, it was two to the left or three to the left of
Where?
Fun.
Close the X and then the symbols at the bottom. One of the symbols is it's the one just two.
Oh, right
Yes, that
here.
one. Yes. Yeah,
Also,
there's a slightly better version. It's not
also,
groundbreaking, but
yeah,
what I was really impressed with,
the AWS, navigation doesn't seem to work on this one.
it does with a couple of eccentricities. The E and R are tilt. The Q maybe, and so one of them's up and down, so it's slightly different mapped, but it does have some controls over there at the ASD range.
Yeah, here, like when I hit W, or let's say R, mentioned R, it's looking for R in the text. So it's not like I'm
I think
in,
that's a browser thing. Mine works on my computer.
all right, in this case, I'm looking at it in Firefox. It would probably work better in Chrome.
Yeah, I think you said we're almost there. It's not a comparison between the photographic quality of a standard VR tour, because the ability to put the headset on and move around in it is pretty impressive. And I think maybe one of the first use cases, or the ones that you could start the public would get impressed with, obviously browser based, right? You're not gonna be able to have people using work saying, "Oh, open this PLY model and look at it and experiment with it." But being able to blend the two where you're moving, like it's what you're trying to achieve here, you're able to, rather than having the arrows and hot spots around the floor, and they've got, the Google tour, a limited number of space, they can freely float around the room. And when they get to like that thing in the center of the room, the glass case, which is the highlight of the room because that's why it's in the glass case. So they're going to want to look at it, and this technology is not going to be able to do that because it hasn't been able to do it with photogrammetry. It has not been able, all of the companies, Matterport, everybody else, they have not been able to automate the ability to take the imagery and convert it to a model if there's any reflective. And with the Gaussians, the reflections off the floor and the rest of them, like you're seeing here, it kicks stuff back into the room. So if you get enough glare in your room, you end up with a model that, like I said, it's like a snow globe. But this is close enough, I think, to where the interface is this Gaussian splat. They move around the entire, you got the portals between the doors, and as they're floating through the space, especially a headset user, that they can be sucked in or stopped. And maybe at that point when they get close to the image, because the problem with the Gaussians is the novel views, it can't recreate the novel views with such not probably not limiting the amount of splats that you use. You're probably, do you know what the limit or number of splats on these are?
I think it's five right now. The version will upload 5 gigs video or 20 minutes, 15 minutes of video, or 2,000 photos, also 5 gig. This one was
There's a
1,200 photos.
there's a number that defines how tight of a detail it can make ultimately, and it's in the training model, and it may not be visible in the softwares like these, but that's the number of splats or Gaussian, units that it uses. And I'm limited on mine, and I'm using an RTX 5070 board with 12 gigs of RAM, and I'm limited to 7 million splats. And I've noticed that if I have a big room and I'm limited to 7 million, because after 7 million, my machine crashes. And so I can't train the model. But if I strip away the room and I'm down to just the item of interest, then I notice the 7 million, I'm starting to get the novel views where it can actually reconstruct it. So I'm thinking that it might be actually a limitation of the hardware that you're not going to be able to, you don't have enough splats to make the whole room and then try to make every little piece of text. And so you're going to have to figure out, the jump to the high, or you're in the Splat VR tour and you touch it and it pops up or
That's what
blends.
I was gonna say too, is there's a lot of software right now. I'm not used to the KR panel. I'm a 3D Vista user, but that they're allowing Gaussian spots to be working within the software and then utilizing other tools. Like we're gonna still need hotspots with a window like Daniel made, having a window with another more intricate model of just that item, right? So then
Yeah.
you're in the room of a Gaussian splat, but then you get specifically to your center point and you have a more detailed model that opens in a window so that you can more clearly inspect that.
Yeah, no reason why you can't, because the KR Pano, 3D Vista, Pano 2 VR, they're all using a WebGL, usually, right? VR viewer is what we've always called them. This is now a Gaussian splat viewer, which just means that it ultimately projects or rasterizes a screen. And so if you have two viewers in the same tour, you should be able to mesh or intermix the rasterization stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I think this is still in standard definition. It's a little bit crisper and higher definition, but
Oh, yeah, I switched over to Chrome.
yeah, no
I'm
worries.
impressed with how fast it's moving.
Oh, it's in best. Yep.
The upload took a little while. It's been taking well, I've had to upload like that one. I probably had to upload 4 or 5 times before it didn't fail. And then when it took probably 3 or 4 or 5 hours when it didn't fail to process it. And that's been true of I've uploaded 4 of them at this point the last week. And that was true of all of them. But if
I'm
you
just
go over
going
closer and look at that,
And I see it fail twice and I'm done and I'm like, I'm just going back to recapturing. I'm not, yeah.
I'm just going to make a quick comment. You should hear my graphics card screaming just to display this model right now. And that's with 28 gigabytes of RAM. So
I really don't want to start any flames in this. I got a 3090, which I only boot up when I need to do some photogrammetry or work. but this is displaying beautifully on the new Mac Mini 4, or like with the lowest power Mac Mini M4. It's an amazing little machine for $499.
Sorry, I just want to respond to a comment. Herman asked, can we resend the links? I've been trying to repost if somebody has sent something that is just a host and panelist. So if you scroll up, both of these teleport links to these models are shared to everyone.
Oh, cool. They're there.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great powers of this technology is its ability to play in real time, even though we're complaining about this barely running on boards. This could not run if it was, the photogrammetry or ray traced, right? We couldn't move this in real time. So, and I think the amount of companies that are jumping into it, the speed, I think this will be definitely I think it's pretty fascinating just to watch it build scenes. I think it's mesmerizing. If you guys haven't done it yet, once you feed the images in and it starts, you can see right off the bat, and it moves fast, but you can see it making these rough, crude objects, and then over the hour or whatever, it slowly. It's fascinating. And then the ability to be able to then, once you have the model trained and you have these points, to be able to do things with them. That's something that is very new that I have not seen before. Look up some YouTube videos about where they then take an AI engine. So they've trained a model of I'll find a link and I'll see if I can go find it and put it up, post it up here. I found it to be just fascinating. And it was a picture of a truck that they had taken. So they're in a road and they've got this old, antique truck. But they take this photograph and it's photorealistic, but then it's a splat. But then they feed the model iteratively into an AI engine and they tell it to take each of these splats and to age them. And so if you're familiar with like Filter Forge or the filters on Adobe where you'll, you know, age a photo or put sepia on or whatever, they were doing this at the actual splat level. So the all of a sudden this truck started to age, it started to get this patina finish all over it. I was just stunned. And then they had the truck just blew it because you can do the particle stuff. I think they were in After Effects running this, and then off the end of it, it was aging and aging, and then they just had the truck blow away in particle dust from the filter effects. And I was like, oh, I gotta learn this splat stuff. But unfortunately, to be on the cutting edge of it, you got to be doing some command line stuff. So we're going to try to do before the next splat that we do. I might try to fit in a workshop. If you're like me, you've been doing creative stuff, so you've been onto a Mac for a long time. You've just been doing Adobe Creative Cloud or whatever, and you don't like the command line. There's something about it. But then you got clients that are making you use GitHub and the rest of it. And now you're dragging out your Windows machine and you got to get it set up and get Python going on and the rest of this. I might have a workshop that just kind of recreate what I'm going through because it's the process too. Because the splats are being run best at, the actual GitHub. That's the software they're using, post-shot and those are implementations of algorithms that are on GitHub, and on GitHub they're 2 to 3 months or more ahead. And so on GitHub they're not using the splats, they're using triangles now, and that might be the solution. For example, I just thought of that's a limitation because you're using a round object, works great for foily, for, plants and things like that, but not for text. So triangles does. So anyway.
Hey, Scott, want to throw up the poll? I was kind of curious.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
Yep.
Okay, launching a poll. So I trust that everyone can see the poll right now. Just a couple quick questions, curious about who you are, and that sort of thing. Hey, Jeff, hate to put you on the spot, but I would love to hear a more detailed explanation of what your HDR workflow is. Because you're not using the same programs that most of us are using, I guess.
Yeah, I find that could be kind of interesting. Any case, yeah, well, like what's my workflow just in
Yeah.
general?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, no, just with regard to HDR.
Well, so I'm bracketing. So first of all, I'm shooting with a Nikon and I bracket 30 shots, five. So 6 times around, 5 bracketed images, bring those into PT GUI, creating my equirectangular there. Then I'm bringing into Pano 2VR where then I tackle the nadir. And again, super easy in the way of Lightroom with their magic tools that they have. And then once I get it processed, then I bring it back into Adobe again, and then I'll use the Adobe Raw tools to kind of play with the sliders and make it pretty and just make it perfect. And then from there, then I bring it back into Pano to VR, where then I'll then create the virtual tour for my client. Um, you know, as a walking tour, like for Google, and then those same image. So then I create two images. I guess going off track here, but I create one tour solely through Pano to VR for my client's website, and then I do another Pano or another tour for Google Street View. So upload all the equirectangulars to Google, and so you get two tours for one price. So I'm going to have to do a webinar to do a complete like walkthrough, just showing it. And I think, in fact, actually, I challenge all my panelists here. We should all do, a work through or a webinar of the way we do it. Because I've never actually ever played with 3D Vista, and obviously I'm the odd man out here, but I love my Pano to VR.
Okay. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm suddenly looking off to the side here, this is another thing that I find interesting about the hardware requirements for Gaussian splats. I've turned off all the browser windows or close all the browser windows that had the splats in them. But my 3090 card is still running at full blast, and the screen that it controls is now black. And I can't get anything back, and everything's moved on to my second monitor, which is over here. This is the hardware requirements of splatting is something else.
Yeah, I'm hoping in the second seminar we can talk a little bit about some of the processing parts where you can take it is I'm finding luck in taking the model early, like 10,000 steps in, and then taking that out of post shot, cleaning it up in something else, definitely cropping it, because I'm finding that if I just let the model run, there's all this stuff that's out there. So you need to actually like trim the model down, and then when you bring it back in, it runs nicer. I'm going to follow up with Jeff on his processing thing, because Jeff does business. He's got to have a fast workflow. And Pano 2 VR does produce a really nice results inside of it. I think if I went back, I do my HDR outside of my process. I think if I was starting from scratch, I might revisit that because I like, for example, if I'm using Pano 2 VR or PT GUI, for example, I suspect that it's HDR features, right? They do the job for me, and then I wouldn't be stepping out of that, right? I'd be doing it all in that, and that'd be a good one. But I'm going to give you a brute force thing that I do sometimes. That's I don't know. It's really brute force. Is Luminar Luminar Neo or Luminar AI? They do a really nice, quick and dirty. It's like you don't have to go in there and do any color. You just pick the one you like and just slam it. It has an enhanced thing that'll just immediately make the image look nicer. but it's not, it's one of those pieces of software that doesn't understand that it's 360, so it creates a brutal seam. So what I'll do is when I'm stitching the image in PT, it's part of my step in PT GUI actually. When it first pops up and you've aligned the image, you have the preview. And this is the same with any stitching software, and you see the equirectangular. Never center on what the subject of interest. That's your natural, oh, I want the, exhibit case in front of me. Always center so the least important part of the room is preferably if you've got an opaque room like behind me, this edge right here, that's what you want to be not centered, but you want it to be the edge because then you can take your equirectangular into Luminar or a piece of software that does a really good job of image processing just in a snap, and it's going to produce a seam, but then just load the front, back, and up images. Those will be the only three of the cubic images that have a seam. And with generative fill now in a Photoshop, the brutal seam that you see just and fixes it. And then you're allowed, then you don't, then you're able to use very powerful, the new like Topaz and all of these brand new, very powerful image processing software that aren't made for 360 images.
And thanks for saying generative fill, because that was escaping me. That's the term, not AI,
Yeah.
but I mean, based on AI. But yes, generative fill has changed my life in such a great way. And I mean, I can bust out a 10, 20 scene tour for a client, most retail spaces about, restaurants, whatever. And I can do that literally from shooting it to building out that tour, to giving it to the client the next day. But I always hold back a few days because I want to keep my, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
I could just bust it out really quick, but anyways, yeah. But generative fill, greatest thing on to
yeah.
slice bread or macaroni and cheese.
And be aggressive about it. I did recently a tour where I'm in an area that it's like a house. Sorry, it's in a house, and all of the ceilings are the same. Just sheetrock. There's nothing in there. Um, I didn't shoot any up images. Right, just spun around, down, up. There's nothing of interest that the generative fill can't replace. I don't shoot any up images in a situation like that. Yes, I end up with a zenith, black at the top, black at the bottom, and I'm loading. It's all automated, so I'm just loading, and then just boom, it's so think about that. If you're in an area where all of a sudden you're not shooting any of the up images, you know that you're going to replace that black hole with just rather than loading up all the down images, you load the up ones as well, and you automate. You just run two. It saves me a tremendous amount of time sometimes. And not possible in the past you couldn't do that because you couldn't, the shading would be off or that's actually one of the harder things I find sometimes. I don't know about everybody else is to like a concrete floor sometimes or something where the light's coming across it and there's a gradient. And
I
now
was gonna throw into the mix a brick floor where sometimes the generative fill doesn't understand the pattern and mosaic to the brick or the tile that you're standing on, and it doesn't exactly recreate the lines as they should be,
yeah.
right? And
Light, Lightroom does that. I mean, it's amazing what I swear to God, it works. I mean, bricks, mosaic, tile floors. I mean, it is. I mean, for me at least. Sorry to run over you,
no,
but
perfect.
I'm excited. I love Lightroom because this. I mean, it
Yeah.
would take me hours in Photoshop when I was using the the stamp tool. Back in
Yeah.
before generative AI and wow, amazing.
Okay, we don't want to go too much longer. So any other questions that somebody might have, please raise your hand or put it into the chat. I hope people have been looking at the chat. So, have we missed any questions that have been in the chat?
I don't believe so. Sorry, I dropped out, so now my chat's erased.
I did. Emily had made a point about the the matter tags, and that's a way in which, and I think that's kind of pointing to Matterport, how they're handling in their geometric, like streamline process. They understand that they have to still provide, because that's a turnkey system for people that are pumping out, quality, high end, and lots of it, right? You're doing it as a business. they still have to have that ability to the point of interaction, the hotspot, right? It's not just a space, it's filled with things. How do they interact with that? And the matter tags is it's if you haven't seen matter tags, it's a pretty, I mean, even if you're not using Matterport, it's kind of a cool way to look at how they're popping up things. And we could do sometime, I don't know if we had it in our chat or our poll, but future webinars, we need to do better, and we'll try to build up so people can plan ahead, and but we'll put these out. But one of them would be interface design, or how do you, what is the interaction with having the thing pop up? Is it a button? Do you have it outlined? Does it glow? Does it, just all of that? Maybe we could do one on that, or and Gaussian splatting part two. Yeah, somebody just asked about that. We're trying to do one probably in 2 months. We'll do the Gaussian splat. It's a complex one. Kind of learning process. But what's
Brian asked the DJI Osmo 360 camera is going to be released in the US. Has anyone seen that one yet?
we were talking
I
about
put
that.
my name in for one, so I'm assuming it's going to be available. The indication on the website that it is.
Yeah.
So I would have to
Don't know
say
when.
it is, but
Yeah.
who knows?
It
Yeah.
amazes me how quickly the technology changes, and you just get one best camera, and a few months later, another better camera comes out.
I found that to be the case with video more so than still photography.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Video, it's every 6 months there's something new to drain your pocket.
Yeah.
For sure.
On the retouching thing, Touch Retouch is also a real simple app for your Nadar.
That's what I
What's-
use
what's
when I
it called?
post to social.
It's too easy.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Kind of like Quicken.
When
I
you
missed it. What's it called?
retouch,
Touch Retouch.
yeah.
Touch Retouch. Okay.
It's just an app. Mick Ty promoted it.
Yeah, when I'm on location, that's one of the things that I do a lot to promote on my social. I'll be on location and I've got my camera synced up to my phone, so all of my equirectangulars are in my phone, and remove what I don't like in the picture and post that sucker immediately.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Anybody want to
Well,
buy
that's time afterwards.
anybody want to buy a Candle Kucam Ultra 3? I got an extra one.
And you can convert it into a VR 180.
Yeah,
and
actually, I got two of them.
Stereoscopic.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I'll sell two of them, and there's your 180. Maybe that's what I ought to do with those two.
I don't know, I've shared the results of the poll for anyone interested. I hope that it's not just the panelists that can see it. But, interesting.
What's the cost of the DJI, the Osmo?
I think it was like around 550 or six. It for a full kit was like $700. That was 3 batteries, a charger, the stick.
549. Okay. Brian just put 549. Thank you, Brian. That's definitely
Yeah, I know.
yeah. Makes my what was the one I bought? Nikon's Mission, was it Mission 360 or whatever?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was a sorry excuse. I'm surprised that they actually did that.
Okay,
Very
so
on Nikon.
do we have much more to go? Any other questions or comments?
Ross has a good question here, since this is real quick here. Can we have everybody just drop in chat real quick? What software are people using for photogrammetry, or, is it everybody using reality capture if you're doing that in the photogrammetry sense? I think it'd be interesting for everybody to just drop. Also, since we had so many answer in the poll, your 360 photography creators and virtual tour, right? Those were like the top poll answers of what everybody's doing professionally. Drop into the poll for us. Where are you using the software that you're working with right now? And then that gives us a good idea of how many
mean
are on
the-
what team.
You mean in the chat?
Yeah, in the chat.
And the question was, where are people using it?
What software are you making your virtual tours with?
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, anyone who's watched the After the Shutter Clicks webinar knows, what most of us are doing.
Right.
Okay, we have somebody that came in late, wants to know if there are any platforms to work 360 VR for remote calibration. The question actually says particular SW platform to work in 360 VR for remote collaboration. I might need
By
some,
remote collaboration.
might need clarification on that question a little bit
Yeah.
more.
A little bit more, please, Claudio.
Cool, this is really interesting. I'm seeing like never even heard of Ava Tour for 360 to 360 video. And Curie Engine. Does anybody know Curie Engine? I think that one's not on our board. Yeah.
Isn't that
Very-
IVRPA? Isn't that the one that Roger Ronald was talking about?
Ronald, my friend Ronald?
Yeah,
Oh. I don't know.
I sworn I
Okay,
thought.
so-
He's a 3D Vista user.
Yeah, but I thought he was. I thought I saw where that Avatar mentioned.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. What is the state of the art for remote collaboration working inside spherical image or 3D digital environment? So are we talking about collaboration with a team? Is that what you're mentioning, Claudio? Feel free to unmute and just ask your question. I think that would be really helpful and we can kind of talk.
Actually,
Or
yeah, Claudio, if you'd like, yeah, I've given you the permission to talk. I have that power.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, arrived very late, so I don't know what was the subject, the specific subject. I'm interested in understanding if there's something that you already know or are nearly available to work with collaboration. 360 images or 360 3D digital environment when you can collaborate with a lot of other people in any kind of field, from construction to scenographic stage. So it's possible to collaborate with a director of photography, director, scenographer, choreographer. So let's say in a broadcast entertainment tour where you want to build in the future a scenography and you just want to start working for the show, how can you previs while collaborating with other people? I don't know if it's clear what I'm. If my English is enough. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I'll give a crack. I'll give a crack at this because I have a little bit of experience with using 360 in construction or facility management. So they're trying to things. The two solutions are that we've seen is where you're trying to have a real-time collaborative interaction, you have to end up in a video game type of environment, like a second life, or I don't what we were playing with one, Stephanie. What was the Daniel had? But those are I think those are kind of limited, but that's where you have headsets on, or maybe you're on a desktop and you're in this simulated 3D environment. Those haven't really worked well for collaboration unless you're like an engineering design term. They'll use them at places like Ford or Boeing, and those are usually customized solutions, really high-end software, and they have to use very powerful workstations to run graphics and to bring everybody into that set of graphics to where it makes it nice. However, what works well for us and our use of technology is where if you're producing virtual reality or virtual tours that have a markup capability or the ability to slide or show phases, and I know KR Pano has it, PT GUI has it, to where you can be taking, you've mentioned collaboration. You're taking a 360 of maybe a building that's in construction and you have good coverage of it. You've used drones and things like that. You've built a virtual tour, but the user is one of your fellow, collaborator designers or whatever. They have the ability in that virtual tour to start to circle things, mark them up, correct. That's where I've seen, the use of virtual reality in a collaborative environment work is where you're able to mark it up. I haven't seen it work. It seems to be more of a fad or um, I really haven't seen people working collaboratively with headsets on unless you're making them look at a model at the same time and they have to, like, here's how the door of the car will open and it's a design review. People don't like to collaborate with a headset on. It's kind of, but does that did I answer it?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
I dropped the link. It's called Arrival Space, which is a 3D immersive environment that's collaboration work. So you can drop Gaussian splats, 3D models, 360 spherical images into a space together.
I'm going to do another one. I just remembered
Thank you.
is one of the Gaussian Splat tools that's coming out is Gaussilla Pro, and they have a demo. Look it up and you'll see there's a beta. And in there, because in Gaussian Splat, you're able to actually mark or remove objects and actually interact with the model. You're seeing in that one with the Gaussian Splats the ability to do, you'll see in that software that they're selecting things like a statue and they're removing it from the scene. They're changing the size of stuff and moving them around. And that's I hadn't seen that before, but take a look at that. That's probably an example of what's coming.
There was also something a little bit more simple. For instance, if you wanted to have a guided virtual tour of a campus where you could have a presenter and then the guests all be viewing the same 360 at the same time, and the presenter could switch from one to the next. I think there was a plugin for KR Panel that was made to do that. And then there were a couple other people that were exploring that possibility. So it is possible in that respect. That's a little bit different, but okay. Anything else, or should we give it?
And just to point out, Martin has given us another engagevr.io. So
right, which I trust everyone can see in chat there. Okay. Martin has another little thing there. Martin, you are informed.
yeah, I think he's ending with the point there that it's specialist tools are kind of custom and
Right. All right. Shall we wrap it up then?
sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It was a smaller, interesting discussion, but interesting topics. So this will be available on the website archive of webinars. If you want to look at it again, I know I will have to. Thank you for coming, and we plan to have another one on the last Saturday of August if we can arrange it, or close to that.
The
And that
third,
will be a regular webinar.
yeah, the 30th, and that's is it the YouTube thing? And then if you're interested in the Gaussian Splat one, the second one, that probably looks like September 27th would be the last Saturday for that one, and that should give me enough time to figure it all out.
Okay.
Or not.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. See you next time.
See you
Take care.
next time.